What's up, everybody? Welcome to Cinema Trip Reviews. I am your host, Wyatt, of course, and this week we have very special guest, Tony from Hack the Movies. You may have seen him in The Dark Knight Rises. Very famous person. Welcome to the channel, Tony. How are you doing?
I feel great to be here. You did see me in The Dark Knight Rises. Not close up or in focus, but you saw me. I was there. I was there.
You're there.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to talk about today's film.
Yes, we are talking about Speed, starring America's sweetheart and Sandra Bullock. And but yeah, it stars Keanu Reeves, of course, and Sandra Bullock, and also, you know, the crazy, as always, Dennis Hopper in this film.
Yes.
He is such a great villain. I mean, I'm a fan of Easy Rider, so it's weird seeing him in that film and then just seeing all of, like, the villain roles that he's played throughout the years.
And of course, you know, the most famous being Land of the Dead. I mean, who could forget that?
My favorite, of course, is Frank Booth from Blue Velvet, of course.
I guess that's okay too, but I mean, Kaufman in Land of the Dead.
We are talking about Speed from 1994 today. What is kind of some of your history with the film here, Tony?
I remember being advertised when it came out when I was a kid. What was this, 94? Yeah. And then I remember my family renting it from Blockbuster and popping it in and being like, oh, this is an amazing film. And just being like real into the idea. I don't think I had seen like Die Hard yet, even though this isn't really like Die Hard on a bus because there's no like terrorist shooting or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the idea of like a really contained action film that's limited to mostly just one location, but that location is on wheels and driving all around. It's a very good suspenseful action film, even if it's not the most realistic.
That is true. And I mean, it is mostly known for, you know, the bomb on the bus and everything, but I like the bookends too. Like, I love how the opening is and everything, and also where it goes towards the end that a lot of people I think forget about.
Yeah, people really forget there's some good action before and after the bus. And of course, it's Jean Dabont, who was a cinematographer on Die Hard and a bunch of other films. I think this is his first directorial effort, right?
Yeah, then he also did like Twister, your favorite Speed 2 Cruise Control.
Speed 2.
He returned for the sequel.
I have him right here. Yeah.
And he also did like The Haunting and Tomb Raider Cradle of Life as well.
Yep. That's the last one he directed.
But he was a cinematographer on a ton of stuff, though, like Hunt for Red October, Flatliners, Lethal Weapons, Basic Instinct. And he also did like a ton of like Madonna music videos and like concert films and such.
He's produced some good movies. I actually just rewatched SLC Punk for the first time.
It's been a while since I've seen that one.
Yeah, he's an executive producer on that. Equilibrium.
It's been a while since I've seen that one. I really liked that one the last time I watched it.
Looks like he hasn't done much since 2012. He almost did a Godzilla film in the 90s, but that would have been awesome. Yep.
Like the one that came out, or like an earlier version of that Godzilla film.
He went into pre-production on a Godzilla film that was meant to come out in 1996, but he quit at the end of 1994. Because they didn't approve his budget, is what I'm reading right here from Wikipedia. So if that's wrong, I'm sorry.
This movie came out a year after I was born, so obviously I didn't get to see it when it came out. But this was on a lot. I believe it was on like TBS or TNT throughout whenever I was growing up. And then, of course, like I watched it and I really dug it. It's been a long time since I actually got to see it, so it was nice to kind of come back and rewatching it. And then I actually, after watching it, I had to go out and rent the sequel, Cruise Control. So I ended up renting, it was like a sequel double feature. I rented Cruise Control and Halloween 2 on the same night. So it was like an interesting double feature.
Wait. Which Halloween 2?
The 1982, was it?
Okay.
The original Halloween 2.
Okay. Be very specific.
Yeah, nowadays, there's like 3 different. Go check out your video on all the Halloween 2.
The worst Halloween 2. We're about to shoot worst Halloween 3.
Oh my gosh.
There are 4 movies that are considered a Halloween 3. And ironically, Halloween 3 is not technically a part 3 out of all those, for all the third Halloween movies.
I was going to say, the worst one isn't the one with Tom Atkins. That's the best one. But yeah, this movie does star Keanu Reeves as Jack Traven. It's such like an action movie hero name. Sandra Bullock plays Annie. Dennis Hopper as Howard Payne. And Jeff Daniels is he the same character from Dumb and Dumber? Just like maybe if he didn't meet Lloyd, he plays Harry in this movie.
Yes, he's Harry Temple.
He never
Uh,
met Lloyd, so he went into like the police academy and he became like a bomb expert, I guess.
yeah, but you also get Alan Ruck,
Yeah, Cameron.
Cameron from Ferris Bueller, and a bunch of other. This movie has got a lot of oh, it's that guy.
Yeah, Joe
Yeah.
Morton. Like he was
Yes.
one I was like, that dude, like Terminator 2 and
Yep.
Blues Brothers 2000. He's in a ton of stuff, man, and throughout the 90s and early 2000s. But apparently this movie was written to be a better version of Runaway Train from 1985 starring John Voight and Eric Roberts. I have never seen that
Oh.
film, really, but I mean, I guess I can. It's a very similar plot with like a bomb and a terrorist in a one central location.
I'm thinking of is that Seinfeld episode where George thinks he bought John Voight's car.
I knew you were going to bring that up whenever I say John Voight.
Yeah, but Elaine goes, I've never even seen him in a car. He's like, urban cowboy horse, and she goes, runaway train, runaway train. She's like, I've never seen him in a car.
Riding around in John Voight's car.
The dentist?
That's a great episode. Me and my fiance actually just got done rewatching Seinfeld recently.
Oh yeah,
it's so good.
I'll relate back to Speed. My favorite, one of my favorite Frank Costanza moments in Seinfeld is when he's trying to think of the movie The Net, but and he goes, "I watched that movie The Net," and he goes, "Starring the girl from the bus." Like that's what he calls Speed, the girl from the bus.
From the bus. Quentin Tarantino was originally offered to direct this film. I'm not sure how different it would have been, but it definitely, it wouldn't have had like that Die Hard type feel to it a little bit. Like it wouldn't have that action feel to it. It would have the dialogue spiced up a lot more, I feel like.
I don't know why people always try to get Tarantino to do stuff like this when you know he's not going to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. They always wanted to do like, not that this was a franchise yet, but they always want like to take Tarantino and make him do like more Hollywood style stuff. And it's like, I hate whenever they're like, Tarantino might be doing a Star Trek. Tarantino might be doing a Godzilla. Tarantino might be doing a Mario. I'm like, he's not going to fucking do it. He never does. He's not going to do it. Can we all relax
direct Halloween 6 back in the day, they were saying.
Yeah, the closest he ever got was that he directed an episode of CSI, and that was like the one thing. That's all you're getting out of him.
It's not going to happen. It's just rumors. This movie was written by Graham Yost, who wrote like Justified and everything, I guess. Like that. He didn't write a ton of stuff, but Justified was like this big thing after Speed. But apparently Joss Whedon came in and did like rewrites on the script for this, I saw. Which is interesting.
Oh, wow. Joss Whedon, everyone's favorite. I'm sure everyone loves him. He's the best person ever. I haven't read the news since 2015, by the way.
I know actors love working with him.
Yeah. I love Joss Whedon. What are you talking about?
Speaking of people we love, Stephen Baldwin was turned down for the role of, he turned down the role of Jack for this movie, and also considered was Tom Cruise, which is a huge missed opportunity, especially if they would have brought him back for the sequel, Cruise Control, starring Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that would have been cool. However, Tom Cruise did do Mission Impossible around that time, and that still, although the newest one didn't do super well, he lucked out more with that.
And I will be bringing that up a couple times because there's a couple scenes in this movie, because this was made a couple years before Mission Impossible, but there's a couple scenes that Mission Impossible kind of ripped from this movie, it seems.
Whoa!
When I was watching it, though, because I wasn't aware of the years, I was like, wait a minute, this is from Mission Impossible. What's going on here? Turns out, no, they were stealing Speed stuff out here.
Oh, wow.
But also Tom Hanks, Wesley Snipes, and Woody Harrelson were considered, which Woody Harrelson's an odd one, but Wesley Snipes and Tom Hanks would have been, I don't know if Tom Hanks would have been a good like action guy for this movie, but maybe Wesley Snipes would have been.
So out of all the ones you mentioned, Tom Cruise and Wesley Snipes would have been the best pick out of that lot. But Wesley Snipes got to do Passenger 57, which I keep talking about on my show. I really got to review it at some point.
I don't know if I've ever seen Passenger 57. I've heard of it. I've never seen it though.
Always bet on black. Oh, it's so good. Everyone who's watched that movie knows what I'm talking about right now.
I've heard the quote before. I've just never seen the movie. But as far as like Annie was Sandra Bullock character, Halle Berry, Meryl Streep, and Kim Basinger were they turned down the role. They were originally attached for it.
Out of that lot, Halle Berry's the only one that I think would work.
Yeah, I could see that.
Kim Basinger not seeing him. Meryl Streep definitely not seeing him.
Definitely not Meryl Streep. She's the one that's a little out there for me on
Okay,
that
I
one.
see Anne Heche. The late Anne Heche was offered.
Oh, interesting.
That would have been good too. Anne Heche would have been good. Wait, am I seeing Ellen DeGeneres? Was also
I
considered?
did read something about that. I wasn't sure if that was true or not. Because like I don't think she was really that well known at the time. Maybe she had like her TV show. Maybe.
Oh yeah, her TV show might have been in like.
Maybe was that around that time?
I'm looking it up, but keep talking. I'm looking it up.
Because I know she was doing stand up and everything at around that time, but I wasn't sure when her sitcom was, if it was the early or late 90s. But I mean, as far as that,
94 it started.
Same year this came out.
Ellen.
So yeah.
Yep.
So maybe that's why she was on the radar. But this was shot on mostly an unfinished highway. The bus jump that was, was most huge scene in this movie was originally not in the original script. That was actually written in as they were filming the movie. And Harry was originally going to be the bad guy of the film, and they took one look at Jeff Daniels and they're like, nah, that's just not convincing. He's just not a convincing bad guy at all.
Wait, how would that? Wait, what? Wait, so they decided Harry wasn't a good pick. So then they were just. So Harry was the bad guy?
From what I've seen on multiple pages, I've looked up, done some research. It said like originally in the script, Harry was going to be the bad guy.
Like, was it a secret who the bomber was and then revealed? Was that?
That's my guess, is that it was going to be a secret. And maybe they were going to have like them talking over the phone or something. So that, like you could hear his voice, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it's distorted. So you don't know who it is. Maybe he would still be playing the same character, but like you don't know he's up behind it, or like it could have been some kind of conspiracy type thing that would have kept it interesting.
So instead of just recasting the part, they were like, "We're gonna make an entirely new character."
We like this guy so much; he has so much charisma. We want him in the movie, so we're gonna run around it. We're gonna figure out somebody else. Dennis Hopper's available. He's a great bad guy. Bring him in.
Dennis Hopper is so good in this one.
He is great in this, and he has some pretty memorable lines as well. And I like how he's just kind of there sporadically throughout, as kind of antagonizing Keanu.
Yeah,
which I'm probably not going to be calling Jack much throughout the movie. It's going to be Keanu.
Yeah, I do that a lot of my reviews. I have a Speed 2, not to plug too early. I have a Speed 2 Cruise Control review coming up. And I think I might call Willem Dafoe just Willem Dafoe through the whole review. I forget if I actually said his name, but for most of that review, he's just Willem Dafoe.
It's just easier that way.
Yeah.
But maybe we can hop right into the movie here, unless you have something else in your notes to add here before we hop in.
Oh, buddy, I'm a guest today. I didn't know.
You're like, fuck that, man. Let's
roll. I love being a guest on other people's podcasts where I don't have to lead.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hey, you take the reins, buddy. I'll jump in, but I got something to say. But like for me, I have to like write all the notes and remember who all the assholes were in these films and what happened. It's fine if it's a good film, it's a bad film. I'm like, fuck, what happened after that scene?
So yeah, we'll hop right into it. The beginning, it opens right up with the huge ass elevator shaft. It's like it reminded me of like the Spaceballs opening, like how huge the ship is, just keeps going and going. Because the whole time as the credits are going, I'm like, damn, how long is this damn elevator shaft? Like, get to the bottom.
Elevator shaft in the world.
And then it like ends with like the Speed title card is so like bad compared to the rest of the titles because it has like this yellow mixed in with it, and none of the other credits do. So it's like it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb and just doesn't fit. But it has like the music in it is kind of like this is before the game actually, but it has like a Metal Gear Solid mixed with a Terminator 2 type soundtrack.
I love the Speed theme.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really, really good. And I'm actually looking at the musician here. It looks like he did Speed, Bad Boys, Twister, Tarzan, Training Day. He did a lot of big films.
Damn, okay. This is where you get to see Dennis Hopper for the first time as it goes to the bottom of the elevator shaft. The security
Sorry.
Oh, yeah,
One second. He also apparently did the music for The Lion King the same year. And some movie called Monkey Trouble. And they're all in the same year. Monkey Trouble, The Lion King, and Speed. Man, he had a good fucking year that year.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
That's like two different way two different scores there for Speed and Lion King in that same year. He had to kind of put himself in the mood to be in one or the other. I'm interested to seeing how he did that. But yeah, you get to see Dennis Hopper for the first time. The security guard comes in and just sees someone fucking with the elevator panel. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "Yeah, they called me in here for a routine job." He's like, "I need to see some papers." And I don't know how this dude didn't see that he was hiding like a knife under that paper, because he clearly puts his hand underneath the sheet like he's hiding something. But he stabs him right in the ear. It starts off pretty crazy. Like I didn't remember that whole beginning part.
And he's like missing fingers too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is something they don't show too often. Like you'll see him like holding the phone with his other hand, but they don't hold like on his hand very often. So it's just kind of like talked about here.
You find out what his deal is later on when they discover who he is and his backstory.
Yeah, so he ends up murdered. You catch a body right at the beginning of the movie. He kills a security guard. You see some workers, kind of, including one of the dude. I forget his name. I think you have IMDb pulled up. The dude from Mulholland Drive that sees the bomb out back.
Yes. Who was also in Twin Peaks season 3.
Yes, he's also in Twin Peaks season 3. But he's part of the group that gets on the elevator, and as the elevator is going down, some of the bombs blow up and it drops down and the emergency brakes come on. And that sets up the course of the beginning of the movie here. SWAT comes in, and that's where you get to meet old Jack Traven, Keanu Reeves, and Harry, played by Jeff Daniels. And also the chief, Joe Morton, Captain McMahon in this movie.
And real quick, Patrick Fischler was the guy's name. Actually, fun fact, I forgot to mention it in my Speed 2 review, but I'll mention it now. I think one of the ladies on the elevator comes back as a different character in Speed 2 Cruise Control.
They should have made it the same character. So she's like, not again.
Yeah, and speaking of, only a few people come back for Speed 2, and one of them is Joe Morton, but just for like the very beginning of the film. Yeah.
And of course, like the director came back, which is pretty crazy.
Yes.
But yeah, they come in, and I like that line where they're just kind of setting the situation. Like, the guy called in, he wants like $3.7 million, and you have like an hour to get it to him, or like the bomb's going to blow up, drop the elevator. And he's like, well, we only have like 23 minutes left. What are we going to do? And he's like, well, is there anything that can stop it? And Keanu Reeves just being kind of an asshole. He's like, well, basement floor. He's like, we're trying to prevent that here, Jack. And Jack just like signs Harry up for it. He's like, well, Harry will go look at it. He's like, all right, you two go up. And he's like, what the hell, man? Like, I didn't sign up for this shit. So they have to lug themselves all the way up to the top, and they kind of come down through, and they see the C4. And I love the line, because he's like, well, what do you got here? And Keanu, he's like, I just work here, man. You're the expert. You tell me. Like, he's not even, he doesn't even really know anything about bombs. He's just up there for support, I guess.
Yeah. Harry is like the bomb guy. He's like the one who could do all that.
Yeah, and it's mentioned throughout the course of the movie that Keanu, you don't know, is he like, has he been on the force for a while? Because some people kind of make him seem like he's kind of new a little bit, but it seems like he knows what he's doing. He goes off of intuition, his gut feeling most of the time. He doesn't go off of basic, what he's learned, it seems.
I don't know if they say it in this one, but they are the Suicide Squad. That's what that unit is called. That's what they say in the second film. They're like, because the character in the second one turns out he's in the same unit, and Sandra Bullock's like, you're in the Suicide Squad? So yes, that's what this is. They do dangerous missions, and I guess Harry is their bomb guy. Yeah,
so I guess Keanu's just there for moral support, but that line is great. Yeah. He's like, man, I just work here, man. You tell me what's going on, we'll figure it out. And then he's like, something bad's gonna happen. I have a feeling in my gut. He's asked him how heavy the elevator is. He's like, I got a fucking plan. And as they're like climbing out the top, this is something that comes up throughout the course of the movie here. He's like, pop quiz. He's like, a terrorist takes a hostage 100 yards from you at like an airport. What do you do? He's like, I'm gonna shoot the hostage. He's like,
yeah.
What the hell you mean you're gonna shoot the hostage? You just gotta dispatch him. That way you can't take him with her or whatever. And it's like, and he's like, you're fucking crazy. You're gonna shoot the hostage. It's like, maybe we can get like the police psychologist up in here to kind of examine you a little bit, man. I don't know if you should be on these kinds of missions.
I do think, actually, not to bring real world stuff into this, but I think when they killed Osama bin Laden, he had a hostage and they just shot her too.
Oh, for real? I didn't know that.
I think. Sorry to bring that up.
Damn.
But I remember, like, if I'm getting it right, if I'm remembering right, I think he tried to take a hostage, and I don't know if she ended up dying, but they were
Or just
like, "Nah,
like, nope.
we only got one shot at this, buddy. Sorry,
Yeah,
lady."
we're not
Boom.
we're not missing our chance. We got to take it.
Yeah. So that is the thing that happens, I guess.
I guess. So maybe it wasn't that crazy after all. But his bright plan is to go up to the roof, and there's like this crane with like the winch cable off of it. So they decide to run that all the way down through and hook that up to the elevator.
Yeah.
And Dennis Hopper is just like in one of these elevators. You don't know where he's at, and he has it all rigged. He has like his own panel on the wall, and he has like
Yeah.
a remote that has like all these different labels on it and everything. And he can hear them. I guess he has like a comm through their radios and everything. So he's hearing everything that they're saying, and so he figures out something's going on. They're trying to do something without him knowing.
It kind of gets, not to spoil too much, it kind of gets revealed he was like a former cop, so he like knows all their kind of like secrets.
Yeah, so I mean, he gets a hint that they're doing something, so he decides to blow it a little bit early, drops it, but luckily enough that winch cable was holding it just long enough, though. And here's the first bit here, because Keanu comes sailing down on a wire, just like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible.
Oh!
But this was like 2 years before Mission Impossible, so
I feel like it's different enough.
It is. I mean, he's not like spread
different.
eagle like Tom Cruise is, going down through lasers and everything.
And this is a fast-paced action scene, not like a suspenseful, slow-paced action scene.
Exactly. And
how does Tom Cruise catch that sweat?
I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense when you think about his arm. It's like, how did he do that? But anyway.
But this is a tense scene, though. It sets up the movie very nice because it has a great way of building it throughout the movie as well. Because, I mean, talking about, you would think a movie just pretty much being on a bus, there's not going to be a lot you can do, but I think this movie does a great job with doing,
and you're right. A lot of people forget the bookended sequences of this. It's not always on the bus.
Yeah, exactly. And you just have to make a note of the line here because it's going to come back a little bit later as he's being rappelled down. He's like, what am I doing this for? He's like, oh, just a small pension and a cheap gold watch eventually when you retire in 30 years. And he's like,
take a note of that.
Take a note of that. That's going to come up eventually.
Yeah.
But as they're coming down, of course, the bomb blows up. They have to find a way to get these people out. The actual door on top of the elevator is rigged, so if they try to take the people out that way, it's going to blow up. So because the elevator dropped down a little bit, they were able to open up one of the doors and try to slide some people out. I don't know how he was going to slide that one woman out before it dropped more because there was no room in that little tiny space. Like, I don't know how.
I love the one girl
was
like
doing there.
Shocked and couldn't move. I'm like,
she's like, I'm not going anywhere.
I mean, lady, it's either you get cut in half or break your legs, or you just blow up. Like, pick one.
Exactly. What are you going to do here? Pick your poison. But they were able to get him out just in time. And I just love the way that scene's paced with the elevator just kind of keeps dropping a little bit as they're with each person they kind of pull out. They built that tension really well.
Yeah.
Right after that, I mean, they think they save everybody. The elevator drops. And I was curious why there was like no huge explosion on the bottom of on the ground floor. The elevator just kind of falls and crashes. There's no explosion. Like, I thought the bomb would blow up as soon as it hits the ground. Because I think even the cops at the bottom say, normally this is where the explosion happens, or this is where the crash happens.
Was it not like disarmed, or?
No, they didn't even get to the bomb or anything. They didn't touch it. So I don't know why it didn't go off.
Huh.
It's interesting. If we're getting this wrong, make sure to let us know in the comments.
Yeah,
but I rewatched it today. But
I rewatched it a few weeks ago. I thought, but I wasn't taking notes on that one. This is why I take notes. This is why I take notes for little details like this.
But they're just kind of sitting there like, oh man, glad that's over. We saved the day and everything. And Keanu's like, no man, something's not right here. Like, he's got to be in the building. He's watching us somehow. He's like, dude, he could have blew that bomb up from miles away. He's like, no, he's here somewhere. We checked the elevators. And he's like, what about the freight elevators? He's like, you're right. We got to check those. And sure enough, Dennis Hopper's on one of those freight elevators. And I feel like they could have did this a little bit better. I'm not talking about the direction or the filming. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the actual special forces of just kind of climbing and sneaking down on top of the elevator. And it's a nice little like jump scare. It got me because like as soon as they're leaning down to open the door, that shotgun blast just comes up through. And I was like, I wasn't expecting that. But he's just shooting shots up through that ceiling there. And I feel like they should have had a better plan about how to get this guy.
Yes, but I'm glad that all that he probably Dennis Hopper probably learned a lot about firearms the year before with Super Mario Brothers the movie, so he's like handling a shotgun really well. They're like,
yeah, we neglected to mention he was in that.
And he's like, I don't know if you saw me work with the Devo Ray in Super Mario Brothers.
But it gets pretty bad real quick because he's firing so many shots up there. It like caves the corner of the elevator in. Harry falls down in there with him, and he like pulls him up by his nose. I was like, that's gotta fucking hurt, dude. He's like, get up here. But like you had the chance, dude. Like Keanu, you should have took your chance and shot this guy. Like while you had like
blow him away.
Blow him away. Like he didn't know he had the bomb around his chest, but I mean, one headshot, you were that close to him, you could have got him. The way this panel works is he can set the regular elevator to go to like floor 3, and then his other panel he can actually control where it goes. So he fools the cops by thinking the elevator's going to floor 3, but he's going down to like parking garage 1 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's interesting how it's smart how they had it set up and everything.
Yeah, it's very clever. It's a very clever movie.
It is. It is very clever.
Ridiculous. A lot of times you have to like once you like factor in reality, you're like, well, obviously none of this would ever work. But in the moment,
especially towards the end,
when it's so engaging, you're like, oh yeah, that was very clever what he did.
But he like sends the elevator up first to cut like if Keanu's gonna stay up there, he's gonna smush him. So he has no choice but to jump in after him, and he's held up at gunpoint.
Gonna smush him with an elevator like in Mission Impossible when they kill what's his face, Emilio Estevez, with the elevator.
See, I didn't even think about that one. That was one that slipped my mind. So that's another one to add in there. That Mission Impossible straight story.
I gotta call up Brian De Palma and call him out.
What's going on here, man? There's way too many similarities.
You're a hack. You're a hack, Brian De Palma. And it'll be like, Tony, isn't my movie one of your most favorite movies of all time? Like, yeah, but now I learned you ripped off Speed.
That's besides the point.
Besides the point, you hack. That's good for a movie reviewer, just calling Brian De Palma a hack. That'll work out well for me.
So they're in a sticky situation here because he reveals that he has a bomb around him. And he's in that situation that he was quizzing Keanu about. Has him held hostage. And I guess if he releases the button that he's holding, that's when it'll blow up. Yeah. And as he's kind of like backing up out through these corridors of like the parking garage or whatever. And that's when he's like, shoot the hostage. And he's like, are you kind of sure, man? And he's like, fuck it, I'll shoot you. And he shoots him and he's like, you fuck. And he's like, I love the shrug that Keanu gives me. Well, you told me to, man.
I like how shocked Dennis Hopper looks that it happened.
Yeah.
He's like, huh?
Are you? Oh. Did that just happen? But he like just runs out the door immediately, and then the bomb goes off. So everybody just assumes that he's dead going into the next scene, which is they're receiving like a medal of bravery. I'm guessing from like the mayor or whoever of the city. But they mentioned that nobody was killed except for the terrorists. And it's like, you think you would have kind of looked for a body or looked for something.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the terrorist died. It's like, you never found a body. There would be some evidence of a body.
Right? Nobody else died. So if there was any parts anywhere, it should be some, like, the killer.
This wasn't an atom bomb. He wasn't vaporized.
Exactly.
Like,
there's going to be some evidence.
Yeah.
Harry, he's got a bullet in his leg. He has a cane, which there's going to be a scene later in the movie I'm going to bring up because he has a limp throughout the whole thing. So there's going to be a scene later in the movie. I was like, what the fuck's happening here?
Oh, some continuity issues.
Some continuity issues.
Oh, well, I thought this movie was perfect. John DeBont, you're a hack. You're a hack, John DeBont. I feel like
on the list of hack directors.
I feel like I'll get in less trouble calling John DeBont a hack than Brian De Palma.
Yeah.
Did you call John DeBont a hack? It's like, well, he did make a tornado roar. It's like, oh, okay, well, you got that.
Yeah, you're right there. But yeah, they receive like a medal of bravery, and then it like cuts to that night they're out partying and everything. And they're just talking about like how lucky they are, and he's like, "No, we're good at our job." And like even the captain's like, "No, you guys are lucky now. You better chill out with how
Yeah.
good you are." Crap. But I like even the captain is just like joking around, like, well, he like congratulates Jack on shooting Harry. He's like, I know everybody else
Yeah.
has wanted to do it for so long.
Yeah.
He's like, want to congratulate Harry on his bravery and and everything, but want to congratulate Jack for putting a bullet in Harry because everybody wanted to do that. Like, oh, thanks, Captain, I guess. But this is kind of the comedy relief is like Harry's character a little bit because he's like, as he's leaving, he's like, I'm gonna go get some sex, and he's like, no, I think you're gonna go home and puke. He's like, well, have fun either way.
Yeah, he's really likable in this.
Yeah.
And people tend to forget he's like in this actually.
I
'Cause
forgot he
again,
was in this.
most people's memory of this movie is Keanu, Sandra Bullock on the bus. They kind of forget about all the other stuff. It's like, no, Harry is a very important character. He has his own little plot line throughout this whole film.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And it's interesting seeing Jeff Daniels in these roles because I mean, my favorite movie of his, of course, Dumb and Dumber. I haven't seen too much else, like maybe Arachnophobia. I haven't seen a show that he had on HBO. What was like The Newsroom or something.
Yeah, that looks stupid.
Yeah, I just wasn't interested in it. But
have you seen 101 Dalmatians? You know,
I forgot about that. Not since I was a kid.
Well, the year before this, speaking of like serious roles, he did Gettysburg.
Oh yeah, he was in Gettysburg.
But yeah, that got a sequel too. So yeah, he does do a lot of serious roles, but it's funny how he's got kind of more remembered for his comedic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the next day, Keanu, I mean, I like this tiny little scene before, something tragic happens because it seems like this is just something he does every single day on his way to work. He goes in, talks with Bob, who I don't know the dude's name, but he's in a ton. It's that guy. He's in a ton of shit throughout the 90s and the 2000s there.
Oh shit, what was his name?
But the guy's name is Bob. He talks to at the coffee shop.
Keep talking. I'm looking up who it is.
But he goes in there. He's like, hey, I saw you on TV. You look like you gained some pounds or whatever. And he's like, oh, thanks, Bob. But he wanted to like congratulate him on his medal and everything.
John Capodice.
Yeah. He's in a ton of different stuff.
Oh, he was in Q the Winged Serpent? Oh, wow. That was his first film, apparently.
He's one of the bullying cops in Ace Ventura.
Right. Oh, yeah, he's in a shit ton of Independence Day, man. He was all over the place.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's in a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
But I like that just little scene because it just seems so natural, like the way that he's coming and interacting with the guy that runs the coffee shop and this Bob character that it seems like he talks to every day. But unfortunately, Bob gets on the wrong bus that day because whenever he walks out, the bus fucking explodes as it's going down the street.
I like that they do this. They show you like how devastating this explosion will be if it happens.
Yeah. It gives you like, hey, it gives you a great, what could happen if you
here's an example of what will happen, and this is what we're trying to stop for the rest of the film.
Yeah. And I don't know what Keanu was going to do. I mean, he was chasing after the bus that was already blown up and on fire. I don't know what his plan was going to do, if he was going to try to stop it or what. But of course you have the call on the payphone, and it's such a menacing call. And Dennis Hopper is just like, yep, I'm back, baby. He thought I was dead. But he's like, why didn't you just come after me? And he's like, this isn't about you, dude. I want my money.
Yeah, I really want my money. And it's like, man, you got to think of other ways to get it, buddy.
Yeah, he's like, I've been working on that elevator job for 2 years. You ruined my life's work.
Yeah, and he expects this plan to go off so much better. And it's like,
you came up with it in a shorter time.
You had less time to prepare. Was this like his plan B?
Maybe.
Like,
maybe he had it already planned.
The elevator didn't work. I guess I got to move to plan B.
But like he says that it was going to be his little nest egg. Like he was going to somehow get this $3.7 million and go off and retire somewhere. Like after he got it from the cops somehow. But this is where he lets him know, like, hey man, there's a bus somewhere in the city. It has a bomb on it. If it goes over 50 miles per hour, it's going to arm the bomb. If it goes under, it's going to blow up. If anybody gets off the bus, it's going to blow up. You have to try to stop it. He's like, what do you do next? Because he's like, pop quiz. And that's where he gives him the scenario. He's like, what do you do next? He's like, well, I need to figure out where the bus is. He's like, yeah, but why would I tell you that? He's like, you're going to fucking tell me that because that's part of the game. And sure enough, he tells him exactly what bus it is. So now it's just like a race against time. He hangs up the phone, hops in his car, and intercut between him just racing to find this bus. This is where you're kind of getting introduced to Annie. She misses the buses and is running straight up, like, reminds me of Peter Parker running after the bus, like late and everything.
Yeah, like the Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire.
Which I related to. There was an asshole bus driver when I was in my first high school who would just pass us all the time. For whatever reason, he didn't like the kids at our school. So if we weren't at two of the bigger bus stops, we were at the ones in between, and there were no one else around. He would just blow right past us.
Man, that's messed up. That's not what this bus driver would do. This guy actually seemed like a nice guy. He pulled over and even knew her name and everything.
Yeah.
And you also get to introduce to what's his name? Cameron. Alan Ruck. And he's like he's just flown into LA. He's a tourist. You could tell because he has like the books and the maps and his recorder and everything.
He is a huge tourist. I mean, I've toured LA and I didn't bother a lot of people.
No, yeah, he's talking to everybody he can about LA.
I got drunk and drove around in the fucking bird scooter, just cracking myself up. That was a lot of fun.
But he's bothered her too much. She pulls the old gum trick. Like she just pretends that there's gum on her seat or whatever just to get away from him.
I stepped in gum. Gum. The way she says that is so funny.
You know what? I got gum on my seat. Gum.
I don't know why Keanu doesn't have one of those sirens. Like just the little red bulbs you can put on his car, because he's just driving around, weaving through traffic, yelling at people. And he's like, it would be a lot easier if you just had one of those little red sirens to put on top of your car, man.
I've never seen one of those used in person. I'm starting to wonder.
Only in movie. It's like
only in movie. I'm like, I get the idea, but if I don't see like a cop car, I'm going to be like, well, that's not real. I'm not slowing down for this asshole.
Yeah, but he's just weaving through traffic, and he should have thought this through a little bit more, because he comes up on the bus and he just runs up and just smashes the window on it and it cracks. He's like, stop the bus. He just looks like a crazy person, and then he decides to get out his badge. It was like, you should have let off with the badge first. That way they wouldn't went anywhere. And I did read, just kind of reading up on the movie, apparently a reviewer after this released came up with the idea. She's like, I don't know why he didn't just shoot the tires of the bus before it started going again, because then they would have stopped and they wouldn't even have got up to 50 miles an hour. And the director was just like, I didn't even think about that when I was writing the movie. Well, he's like, that's a smart idea. I didn't even think about that.
I mean, those are pretty thick tires, and yeah. You know what? I'll counter that, because you can still, like, as soon as he starts shooting, that guy is gonna floor it. So he would actually just be speeding it up.
Oh, you're not wrong there. That's true.
You'll get a little, because even if
that would cause a panic. You're right.
It would cause a panic. They would slam on the gas, and even if it's not physically moving, the little dial's gonna go up and it's gonna hit. Yeah, it's gonna be a problem.
So he should have just led with the badge first and then took it from there. LAPD, stop the bus.
Yeah.
The bus takes off anyway, so he has to commandeer a vehicle, and he just takes this dude's Jaguar or whatever, and this dude is hilarious.
I love him. And by the way, this is not the last time an officer of the law will commandeer one of his vehicles, because he comes back in Speed 2 cruise control.
He does?
Yeah, the hero ends up taking his boat. It's a little bit of a happier ending, though.
It's been so long since I've seen that. I don't remember that.
Literally, at the end of Speed 2, this guy is just vacationing with the girl, and then the good guy is just like, I gotta take your boat. He's like, not again.
The bus goes up to 50, and I love the tension as it's building, because it's just slower and slower, just going up the speedometer. Yeah. And he's just chasing after him, trying to get up beside him. Dude can't hear what they're saying. So he's like, just write it on paper and just show it to him. And he's like, there's a bomb on the bus. He's like, yeah, there's a bomb on... Wait a minute, there's a bomb on the bus? What do you mean? The dude's reactions to everything Keanu's telling him is just priceless. But he even drops the paper, and I love how dramatic it is when the paper just smacks the windshield. It hits that the musical score.
The bus driver sees it, and he's like, oh, shit.
The zoom in on his face. Oh my God. So he's like, yeah, I gotta get over. I gotta jump to the bus. He's like, yeah, you're right, man. Wait a minute. What do you mean you jump into the bus? And he's like holding onto the wheel while like trying to steady it and everything. And the funniest part is whenever Keanu jumps to the bus, dude loses control and just crashes straight into like the water barrels, and he is screaming bloody murder.
Whoa, shit! Again, knowing that something similar happens to him in the next film is just so much funnier. They really got to do. If they ever do a Speed 3, this guy's got to come back. This guy has got to come back.
It wouldn't have been as bad. Like, I don't know how much. I mean, I'm sure the water barrels did damage, but I mean, Keanu even took his door off.
Yeah,
like to even get on the bus. Like, he opened his door and just slammed on the brakes to take the door off.
At one point, I think he asked to like borrow the phone. He's like, "Take it." Like,
yeah, he's just like, just take it, dude.
Just take it.
As if troubles weren't already amounting here, he hops on the bus, and almost immediately a dude just pulls a gun on him because he's like LAPD or whatever, and he's like, "Dude, I'm not here for you. Calm down. I don't even know who you are."
I love when he goes, "Whatever you did, I'm sure it was justified. I'm not here for this."
Yeah, I'm not here for you. I don't even know who you are. And then he's like, "I don't care," which is like the Tommy Lee Jones quote from like The Fugitives. Like, I don't care.
I killed my wife. I don't care.
I don't care.
He's like, it's like, my job is not to find out if you're guilty or not. It's just to bring you in.
But before he could like kind of diffuse the situations, the passengers jump on the guy, gun goes off, and out of all people, it shoots the driver.
I know, the worst person.
Out of all people, the driver gets shot.
But it's a great setup for what happens.
Yes, and Sandra Bullock, Annie, has to take the wheel for the rest of the movie here. She actually had to go through training and learn how to get like a bus driver's license to do this movie, apparently.
Oh, that's funny.
Perfect time for Annie to tell her, like, yeah, good time to tell you my license was suspended. I'm not driving anymore. He's like, well, why was it suspended? He's like, speeding. Oh,
like,
great.
well, this is your lucky day. You have to speed.
So this next scene's pretty good too. They have to figure out where this bomb is. So they say that there's like some kind of, the driver tells him there's like a hatch on the floor he can go under. And he's on the phone with Harry because Harry's telling him like what to look for and everything. Alan Ruck is holding the phone and relaying all the messages to him.
I love this. Wait, what you call it? Sorry, when he just goes, "Oh shit," and Alan Ruck just goes, "Oh darn."
Fuck me. Oh darn.
There's no way for them to defuse this bomb as of right now. And Harry is confused because there is like an actual watch. There's a watch piece attached to the bomb. He says if it's the same dude, this is odd because if normally a terrorist like this has one MO, he sticks to one type of bomb, and this dude's been using like dynamite, he's been using like claymore, like what is it, plastic explosives or whatever. He's been using all different types of different stuff. Yeah, and it's kind of throwing him off. Like, who is this guy? He must be a bombs expert.
Yeah.
So that's like back at like HQ. That's where he's like, they're going through the files of like 10 years of different policemen or like everything, trying to figure out who it is. And I like the chief gets the call, like, because he calls Harry immediately. The chief gets the call and comes in to warn, like, "Hey, Harry, there's dude's back. Like, he wants 3.7 million." Like, and he's like, "Yeah, I know. Guess where Jack is?"
Yeah, guess what? Jack's on the bus.
Yeah, Jack's already there, man. The police are trying to get them to a unit to take them to, I guess, an unfinished part of highway. It's like nobody's there. They'll be able to do that over 50 easily without any worries. But they're going to have some issues getting there in the meantime because they end up running into traffic. So they have to like go off to the side of the road, and they're running off the side of the road, and they're literally sideswiping every single thing in their path.
Everyone would be dead here. Like, there's
somehow they're keeping it above 50 too, going off the road onto like the grass and everything.
That part's a little ridiculous. I'm like, I'm sorry. Inevitably you would slow down.
You would have to.
Like, making turns and stuff without like hitting your brake. You're going to flip that thing at some point.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a little later. That's where that comes into play here. But first, she's not paying attention. That lady comes out in the middle of the road with the baby carriage. And she fucking hits that baby carriage, and cans go flying everywhere. And she's just losing it. She's like, "Oh my God, I hit a baby."
Yeah, Sandra Bullock is freaking out. The same level of like a meltdown as Toni Collette in Hereditary. She's just losing it.
Yeah. It was like the best thing to do if you just were involved with an accident is like close your eyes and take your hands off the wheel. Like, oh my God.
Cans!
I just hit the baby!
Cans!
I'm a bed! Oh my
There was no baby. It was full of cans.
Well, look, there's a whole song about that called Jesus Take the Wheel. Okay, it all works out in the end.
That's really what she was doing. Jesus, take the wheel. I don't know what I just did.
That song. Whenever I hit like a thing of ice, I just immediately let go of the wheel and I'm like, Jesus will take care of it. And then I crash and I'll be like, oh, that was part of the plan, I guess.
Thanks, Jesus.
Thanks, Jesus. And Carrie Underwood, who I think sang that song, maybe.
I'll blame Carrie Underwood. She said Jesus would take the wheel. She's a liar.
I'm suing her. She gave bad advice in her song.
She's a liar. So, and this is like what you mentioned. They're right after that, pretty much, they're going to have to go around this huge turn. Like, well, we're going to tip over. So they move everybody to one side of the bus to kind of counterbalance that weight. And of course, it ends up working out for them. They are able to get to that section of highway and, you know, where they're clear. And I like how the police just come up on that flatbed. Like, the cops are just standing on the flatbed of the truck talking with them and everything. Like, all right, we got to get these people out of here. He's like, no can do, Sarge. He's like, no time for the heroics, Keanu. He's like, I've been ordered to, man. We can't take him off the bus.
Can't. He'll kill us all. But then he starts negotiating for the bus driver, I think.
Yes. Yeah. The dude calls the cops and he like gives them the guy's number that he stole the cell phone from.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's negotiating, like, dude, we got a guy bleeding out here. I got him, get him off the bus. That's fine. Just one person. And, you know, as soon as they just kind of pan in on one character kind of freaking out that you haven't seen very much, you know something's going to happen. Because that lady, Dwight's babysitter from The Office.
Beth Grant, her character. She doubts your commitment to Sparkle Notion. And also, she's the teacher who gets beat up in Child's Play 2.
Oh,
with the ruler. Yeah. That lady.
Yeah, she decides she wants off the bus now. And, of course, Dennis Hopper is seeing all this shit. As you know, because of the choppers flying overhead, just broadcasting it on live news, he's watching everything. And, of course, another method, which we will, you know, is yet to be revealed. So, of course, as soon as she fucking takes that step onto the steps and reaches out, I guess he had just one bomb purposely under those stairs, just as a warning.
Just in case... Show that he was serious.
Yeah, so that blows up and takes her with it, and she's gone, gets sucked onto the bus and everything. And that's really put the seriousness into everybody's hearts right there. I mean, Sandra Bullock's breaking down, like behind the wheel again.
The good news is, if you were sad about her dying in this film, that same year you could walk into another theater and watch her in City Slickers 2, The Legend of Curly's Gold. Because I pulled up her acting thing, and apparently that also came out the same year. Let me see if they were in the same... Let's see,
The Legend of Curly's Gold.
That was June. Speed was... They were both June. So yes, you can watch her die and go, I'm so sad. Oh, wait. She's in City Slickers.
She's alive in this movie. This makes me feel better.
Over to City Slickers 2, The Curly Gold.
Tensions are high on the bus at this after she gets killed. Sandra Bullock's just kind of going into a panic attack mode, a whole different kind of panic than she had when she hit the baby carriage. Like the seriousness that, okay, we could die at any point is sitting in. And then like that's where Alan Ruck's starting to freak out on the bus, and the other dude, they call, like, what do they call him, Gigantor or whatever, a couple different times. He's like, I have a wife, you saying that I'm not as important as you or whatever, and everybody's just kind of fighting amongst themselves. You know, that's bound to happen in these types of situations, I would assume. This is where everything just kind of gets even worse on top of this. The cops get the call that, hey, we probably should have did our homework before we got these people on this highway.
It turns out the bridge is mostly there. Not all of it. It's mostly there.
There's just a 50-foot gap in between the highway, which when they show the bus going up, it looks like there's a road that goes up and around that they could have went on, but it was kind of blocked. So if they would have rammed the bus through, they might have been just being able to go up and around fine. They might not have had to make the leap, but they didn't really have any other option from what they were saying. So they just floor it. They just put the foot to the floor and go for it. And, you know, it's exciting, I guess. It's one of the bigger action set pieces of the movie that a lot of people will remember, but
I think part of it was miniatures, but they did actually do like a ramp with the bus.
Yeah. I think they only had to do it. They could only do it once, right?
Yeah. If I remember right, I remember watching behind the scenes for a long time ago where like the actual stunt bus, no one's in it except for a driver, but he's in the middle of the bus, so you can't like see the stunt driver in the front and whatnot. So yeah, but I also think they had some miniatures as well.
That makes sense.
But also I think Mythbusters did this whole thing and they proved like you can't do it.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know what they're ramping off of to get that high. That's
the little throwaway line they said was like the connector space or like has a slight incline, was like that's not going to be nearly a big enough incline for you to ramp a bus off of.
And will it keep going 50 miles per hour as soon as you land? Like I think
exactly.
This is a classic road trip scenario where they jump the bridge. And then the car falls apart. He's like, I just said we make the jump. I didn't say anything about the wheels falling off.
The plan worked technically.
The plan worked technically.
But I love like the chief's reaction whenever they tell him about this. He's like, "You're fired. Everyone's fucking fired." But yeah, I mean, the bus jump is pretty cool though. I don't think it's nearly as exciting or as cool as like some of the other shit that happens in the movie, like what we're gonna get to with like Keanu going under the bus and everything.
That was cool shit.
Keanu takes him off the highway because he sees the sign for like LAX. So he's like, that's perfect. I'm going to take him to the airport. And that's really where you spend the rest of the time with the bus. And even the chief's like, that smart motherfucker Jack taking him to the airport. Like, that's my boy. And like pretty much at the airport, they're just taking around in circles over and over and over again.
Oh, he's fucking up like all the flights and stuff.
Well, yeah, you would have to worry about that. They would just have to shut down the airport.
I think I was reading originally it was going to be in like some kind of stadium. He was going to take it to like a stadium.
Oh, interesting.
Around. Yeah.
It would make more sense though. You'd be able to get into like an airport area.
Yeah,
easier. And I like Alan Rux. He's like, we're at the airport. I was just at the airport. I've been to the airport already.
Already seen the airport. He's still worried about his vacation.
Yeah. It's like, this whole vacation's ruined. Like, I had to get on this bus, right? This bus, out of all buses. So as they're going into the airport, that's when one of the tires gets blown. And this tire, man, it just keeps shredding throughout the whole rest of the movie here on the bus. This tire being blown causes trouble throughout the whole rest of what they're trying to do here.
Yeah.
So this is where you kind of get the hint that he is a cop, or he's within the enforcement, because Harry, he talks about searching for the cops. This is where he talks about, like, I've had my medals, I've had my, like, rewards or whatever. Like, I want what's coming to me and everything. And this is where, like, he's mentioned it once before, but he's like, make sure Wildcat keeps it above 50 and everything will be fine or whatever. And this is where, like, Keanu, like, he's thinking, he's like, wait a minute. Something's happening here. And that's when he, like, sees, like, her shirt has, like, what was it? Arizona? Arizona Wildcats.
Arizona, yeah. And I like how he realizes he's being recorded and he's like, because he realizes it's behind the mirror.
Yeah.
And then like he plays it off. I like how he's just kind of like looking around and not like showing his
looks out the door so he can look up and see the camera behind the mirror and everything. But while this is happening, of course, you cut back to HQ and Harry, they get a pinpoint on their guy. He's like, that's our fucking guy. We're going to find him.
Our guy.
That's our guy. It's Howard Payne. That's where the watch is connected to. And this is where my problem comes in, because the whole movie, after the opening act, of course, he's walking around with a cane and he's limping and everywhere.
Yeah.
But he fucking goes on the SWAT mission and he's climbing through windows and he's walking around the house perfectly fine. He doesn't have the limp.
He took some painkillers.
But like, I feel like if you just got shot, you're not going to go right back into the line of duty. They're going to put you on desk duty for a little while. You're not going to be just gearing up and going out and doing a raid.
Did they not have bomb robots at that time?
I feel like they would have had to, man. They would have had to. They're putting robots on the moon. They can have a bomb robot.
Yeah. Oh, I'm looking at San Francisco bomb robots. Would have been around or something like that. Yeah, it's weird that it's weird that they're breaking into a home of someone they know is a bomb expert. You think they'd want cameras in there and shit. They wouldn't want to go in themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a little bizarre.
Yeah, they just go in and just search around. They have no awareness whatsoever. Like, this could be a trap. And of course, whenever they go in there, that's when you see like the light up and start beeping and like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And the fucking house just goes up in flames.
You feel bad for Harry because it just zooms up in his face and you can just tell how upset he is. He's like, yeah, I screwed up.
Yeah, I should have figured that one out. I don't know. for some reason, I remember it when I was younger. I just remember him being in the rest of the movie. I didn't know he got killed in this scene because I like when I was rewatching it here, I was like, okay, when's he come back? When's Harry coming back? And he just never comes back. It's like, oh man.
They should have kept him alive for the superior speed 2 cruise control. I mean,
right?
That's really
you couldn't bring
missing.
Keanu back. You could at least try to bring Jeff Daniels back.
Keanu's expendable, okay, but Jeff Bridges you need. And Dennis Hopper, he should have had his evil twin brother.
Right, like if you're going to be like schlocky action or whatever, you should have just made it a twin brother type thing.
Yeah.
I mean, as cool as Willem Dafoe is, like you could have used Dennis Hopper again. Why not?
Nah, I changed my Willem Dafoe needed that movie. He needs to be in the movie.
So this is where Keanu is like, all right, I gotta get my ass off this bus. We gotta figure this out.
Yeah.
So the police just kind of roll it up next to him. He even tells Dennis Hopper on the phone, like, I gotta get off this bus. It's not part of the deal that I can't get off. He's like, fine, but you better get on that bus again here shortly. He's like, yeah, whatever you say, dude. So he gets off, and that's whenever they're like, well, what's he doing? And then you see the truck kind of come up right in front of him with that little cart.
Yeah.
You're like, no fucking way is he gonna do this shit. And this was stolen a couple years later, in I believe 1999, with a Wild Wild West with the cart under the train that Will Smith is on.
Well,
I don't know if you remember that.
Who did that movie again? That was
I don't remember the director of that one.
I hold on. Barry Sonnenfeld, you hack.
You hack.
You stole from Speed, and also you made Wild Wild West. That's a pretty hacky movie.
I kind of have a love for Wild Wild West, but I recognize how bad it is, but I love it at the same time.
I'm sorry, I just looked at the Google reviews and like audience reviews. It's overwhelmingly 4.0. I'm like, what?
For Wild Wild West?
Yeah, I guess a lot of people like Wild Wild West.
Hey, I like Wild Wild West, man. It's funny.
I liked it as a kid. It didn't age well, but okay. Anyway.
It didn't age well. I still find it funny though. That may be a future review down the line.
Yeah.
But Dennis Hopper allows him to get off the bus, and he goes right under that bus with that cart, which is pretty damn dangerous because there's nothing holding that cart still on that line, really.
But that's the weird thing because the bus should be going in like circles.
And it's just going straight the whole time that he's under that bus. Way to go, John DeBont. You dropped the ball on this one. You hack.
Yeah. One of the Fast and Furious movies that I didn't see. Apparently they're driving on a runway. And my friend who was like real into cars and stuff at the time, she was talking about how like people calculated the amount of time they're speeding on the runway. They drove like the length of New Jersey. Like it makes no sense. Like they're like, this would be the longest runway in the history of the world. I never fact checked that myself though, so
as he's under there, he finds out he can't defuse the bomb because he can't bypass it into the battery they have.
Right.
Because of the watch and everything. So, of course, some other bad shit happens. That tire blowing up gets sucked back up underneath. It fucks with him, and he's ending up holding on for dear life. And then, of course, the cable that's holding him there snaps. So he's just freewheeling.
Anything that can go wrong goes wrong.
Exactly. And, of course, whenever he's about to get sucked under, he takes his knife out and stabs it up into the bus. But what does he stab it into? The fucking gas tank. So it's just leaking gas everywhere, all over him. It's like, dude, you could have had any other spot to reach for with that knife. You had to hit the gas tank.
And then unfortunately, there's a fireworks show right ahead of them that they're about to drive into. Like, this should just get more ridiculous.
I need to fucking cut that scene and going back to Seinfeld. Newman driving around with the what is it? The sewing machine under his truck.
Yeah.
And hits the gas or the oil on the highway. But yeah, the cart gets sucked up underneath. He's just holding on for dear life underneath the bus, but the passengers are somehow able to just kind of yank him up underneath. And now he's back on the bus again.
Back on the bus.
Back on the bus again. Didn't really get anything solved.
In fact, he's made things worse.
Yeah, because it fucked up some of the other tires, I'm pretty sure, as well.
Yeah.
And the gas tank, because he even tells her, like, yeah, that's gas, and you see the pressure of the gas gauge just going down. I'm like, all right, we need to get these people off this bus ASAP. And of course, we already mentioned it. That's whenever he finds out about the camera on the bus, and he relays that to the chief. So they get the news, like the cameramen and all that there to use the UHF feed, he says, to get the camera from inside the bus so they can record it. So they have the great idea of just kind of sitting still, just act normal. Don't make any sudden moves, any big moves. Just be as still as possible, act normal.
And then, one chick could have stopped moving a little bit more, but everyone else.
Yeah,
did a
she
good job.
picks, or she drops her purse or something because it just kind of pops into her lap.
She moves her handbag or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it works for a good while because they were able to trick him while Dennis Hopper's in the bathroom. At his house. They're able to have that big bus pull up right beside him and get all the passengers over. But of course, another piece of that tire ends up getting sucked up under the bus. That tire just keeps coming back to haunt them over and over again.
Is that the tire from Rubber?
It must be, because it's trying to kill everybody.
I've never actually seen Rubber.
I haven't either. It's just that famously the tire killer movie.
It came out in 2010. I remember seeing the trailer, thinking it looked cool, and I just never got around to turning it on. I feel
I'm the same way.
You know what other movie I've never seen, by the way? I haven't seen Drive with Ryan Gosling. I feel like
I actually just watched that a couple weeks ago. It's pretty good. I actually really dig it.
I feel like I'm too late to the party, and I don't know what's worse, watching a movie like way too late or just never seeing it at all. I could be smug if I never seen it at all. I'd be like, I didn't even see Drive, never wanted to see it. But now I'll be like, hey, I saw that movie you guys were all talking about 10 years ago. Can we talk about it?
I think you might dig it. I think you might like it. It's very stylish. I like it, though. Has some great actors in it.
I've never seen any of that guy's films, and I keep hearing.
I haven't either, but I heard they get worse after Drive, so that's why I haven't really checked anything else out. So Alan Ruck almost dies because he's the one that falls, and he's like getting drug on that piece of wood as they're pulling him up in. They give him like that big bar and the rope to tie out to push down on the gas to keep it going and keep the wheel steady. Their only way to get out of the bus is to use the hatch on the floor, which I don't even know how you would go about doing this or how you would even feel safe trying to. I would much rather just jump out of the door of the bus than do this at this point.
Like the back of the bus, just tuck and roll.
Because if you mess up going down, like sliding down on that, you're getting sucked under the wheels and you're toast.
Yeah.
But, this is a movie. They heroically slide perfectly. I love how when it cuts underneath the bus, you could see the bowed piece of wood that they're on. Like it purposely slides underneath. And as they're rolling out, you can see the little wheels on the bottom. And they're just going down the runway as the bus, goes into a huge action movie explosion. It crashes into that plane.
I like revealing errors. They're always fun.
Yeah, I noticed it more on the second time I watched it. It's like, holy shit, you could clearly see like the little rows of wheels underneath that board. But still a cool scene nonetheless, though. And you have that little just kind of cheesy dialogue between them as they're holding each other there on the board. I forget, what does she tell him? It's like relationships that like people that meet under like scenarios of duress or something, they never last.
Relationships that start under intense circumstances, they never last.
And then they repeat it a little bit later, I think.
Yeah, this is where like Hopper finds out that they were looping the video they had because the lady drops her bag and he's fucking pissed. He's like, fuck, not again. You find out that the watch that he had was, it was planned. Like he purposely put that there to lure them to the house. And he even tells him, like, sorry about your buddy Harry. It had to be done.
He's like, how'd they find me? Was it the watch? I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, he's like, as cheesy as it is, I had to use my retirement gift. But he dresses up as a cop, and he goes and he talks to Annie, and he's like, yeah, they don't want you standing here. We got to get you out of harm's way and everything, because he tells them exactly where he wants the money to be put. It's like in this green trash bin out on like in Central Square of the city.
They don't have an undercover cop anywhere around there.
They just have them up in the windows and shit.
Instead, there's like a bus or something that drives by the trash can. And that's when he gets it. It's like they didn't have an undercover cop like on a bench near there.
Yeah, right. And they're just sitting in like, what is it, like the pizza shop or whatever. And he's like, he's like, something's not right. He just has that gut feeling again. Like, something's not right, man. He's like, turn on the tracker, and they turn it on. And he's like, oh shit, it's moving. So they go over and
real quick. Why is Annie even there?
Right. She should have been gone. Like, she should have been taken away. Like, why is she anywhere? Why is she with the police still at this point?
I know you want her there to be part of the finale.
Yeah.
But I said this about the same thing with Die Hard 3. Like, after that boat explosion, there's no need for Sam Jackson to hop on the helicopter with them to go to Canada. It's like, he could have been like, well, let me know how that works out. I'm done.
Well, it's his buddy now. Just like, I mean, they're love interests now. That's Keanu's girl. And he goes over and he moves the bin, and nobody noticed or heard anybody drilling the concrete underneath this trash can at all. Because there's just a big ass hole drilled under this concrete underneath this trash can. Nobody heard this being drilled at all. Immediately he drops down, and you think it's Dennis Hopper he's yelling at, but plot twist, it's Annie. She has the bombs on. She's covered with the bomb, like, what is it? Plastic explosives or whatever. Yeah. And of course, Dennis Hopper comes out with the same mechanism he had before. It's repeating the beginning of the movie with old Jeff Daniels there.
By the way, this is my favorite Dennis Hopper quote in the movie.
I think it's the one I have written down.
And Jack calls him crazy, and he goes, "Poor people are crazy, Jack." And then he holds up the money and goes, "I'm eccentric." And I'm like, that's fucking great.
You're crazy.
Poor people are crazy, Jack. I'm eccentric.
He has a lot of great lines in this one. Like the one where he calls him earlier, like the first one after the first bus explodes up. He's like, if you pick up all the driver's teeth, maybe they'll give you another medal, Jack, or whatever. And it's like, holy shit, that is dark.
That is good. And we should all thank Joss Whedon for writing that line. Good job, Joss. Everyone in the comments right now say, good job, Joss. Is he back on social media yet?
I don't think so. I haven't heard a peep from Joss Whedon in quite a while now.
It's either, I don't know when this is coming out, but around this time I'm reviewing the first Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like the movie.
Okay.
And I'm just
he wrote that one, right? Or did he direct it?
Yeah, but it was taken away from him.
Oh, okay.
He hates it, so I'm just gonna go on a whole thing where I'm like, it's my favorite. It's the best Buffy.
Oh, of course.
TV show ruined Buffy.
It wouldn't be Hack the Movies without that, Tony.
Real quick, Joss Whedon has not made an X post on X since 2020. I don't know what happened. It looks like he was making a comeback and then he disappeared again. I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened. Someone look out for Joss Whedon. Make sure he's all right.
Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, it's a tense scene though. I love the reveal of Annie because that's something I totally forgot about. When I go on the rewatch, I was like, "Oh shit, it's Annie," because they just kind of have her hidden by shadows and everything. You don't know who it is at first until she walks out.
I mean, it's clearly a tiny woman. I don't know how he would ever or Dennis Hopper, but okay.
Yeah, and this is one hostage he doesn't want to shoot if he doesn't have to. He takes her down into the subway. He's firing his fucking, like, what is it, MP5 around like a madman throughout the subway. Gets on the subway tunnel. Gets on the car, and as it's taking off, like, Jack goes down, and he just in time pulls those doors apart before he hits the railing. But he ends up pulling this fucking Brian De Palma hack. Keeps stealing scenes from Speed, and I will not settle for it. Keanu climbs on top of the subway train and is crawling atop the top, just like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible at the very end. I don't understand.
Can't believe it.
That's 3 scenes we talked about now, straight up ripped off into a Mission Impossible. What's going on, Brian De Palma? I want answers.
Brian De Palma, you're on my shit list. I mean,
maybe you should come on the show sometime and we'll talk about this. Explain yourself.
Come on cinematripreviews right now and explain yourself.
Explain yourself.
Post about it. Let everyone know about it.
I loved Blowout, by the way. Just lead off with that.
Watch my Scarface review, please.
Yeah, I love Scarface too, man. I love your movies. It's just a little hacky by stealing some of these elements, man. This is a great exchange between like Dennis Hopper and Sandra Bullock on the train here, because he like has her holding the remote for a minute. And he's like, you might want to give me that back here. And he's like, just because of the nerves and everything. And he's like, it's not because you're a woman or anything.
hey, it's not because you're a woman, okay?
It's not because you're a woman.
I might be a violent murderer who blew up a woman today, but I'm not sexist or anything.
And I like how he's just trying to like somewhat make her feel better. He's like, don't worry, like, you're not gonna feel anything. It'll be all right.
Yeah. I mean, you probably wouldn't be so fast. You probably wouldn't feel anything.
But he like handcuffs her to the post there, and that's whenever you hear like Keanu on top of the fucking train car, and you see the lights coming by, which was also used in Mission Impossible, I believe.
Yeah.
But as he's like moving around trying to get past those, that's when Dennis Hopper hears him and starts fucking blasting up through the roof again, and he wastes all his bullets. So he just goes full madman. He's like, I'm coming, Jack. And he starts running out the train car.
That was so stupid that he like climbed up there to like fight
why
him.
would you do that?
Why would you do that? You just wait for him to come in one of the entrances and you just shoot him. That's all.
Exactly. But he wasted all his bullets now, so you screwed yourself there. You played yourself. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And like you would think he would have like maybe given her the remote too. Like he climbed up there and is like, expecting to fight this dude holding that bomb remote. Like, what do you think what are you going to accomplish here? But yeah, he's just angrily crawling towards Keanu on top of that train car, and they're just rolling around fighting each other. And I'd love this kill, man. It's just because I never expected it again. Like I knew he died, but I didn't know he died in this fashion. Like he's on top of him, holding him, like choking him. But of course, Keanu's able to push him up just far enough to hit that light.
You're dumb. He's like calling him dumb and stuff. He's like, I'm smarter.
And he like fucking takes his head off with that light, and he's like, I'm taller than you.
He's like, well, I'm taller. And I'm like, that's fucking great.
Well, I'm taller.
He has a couple of those lines in this movie. I'm like, well, maybe could have did another one or two takes on that, Keanu. A little bad, especially the one here at the very end where he repeats the line back to her. I was like, maybe could have did another take or two of that one, man.
Real quick, speaking of his acting, I mentioned this in my Bram Stoker's Dracula commentary track recently.
Oh my god, yeah.
Not to be confused with my Bram Stoker's Dracula review, which I also have. But there's a great old episode of the Animaniacs where they parody Speed. The bus is like going crazy, and Keanu Reeves comes on the bus, and he's there with like Sally Squirrel, and he's like, "Did you see a bomb?" And Sally Squirrel looks at Keanu Reeves and goes, "Yes, your performance in Dracula." I'm like, man, little kid Tony didn't really get it, but damn,
savage.
That's a good fucking burn.
That's hilarious. Yeah, he was pretty bad in that one. For the most part, I would say in this movie, he's pretty damn good. I think he's decent with the lines that he's given and everything. He's very charismatic. There's just a couple here and there. A couple of those lines, I'm like, oh, that was kind of rough. It's very like the Keanu-isms a little bit. Like that surfer in him comes out a little bit. And that was actually a note I didn't mention. They made him cut his hair specifically for this movie because they didn't want him to be like that Bill and Ted type, laid back stoner type guy. They wanted him to be kind of a more adult action type character in this movie.
Is this before or after Point Break?
This is after Point Break.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, apparently that was a request straight from John DeBont. It was like, you got to cut your hair. You got to be an adult in this movie, Keanu. He kills fucking Dennis Hopper. He goes back into the train car. I guess he knew how to dismantle this bomb. He just comes in and just fucking pulls the wire, and it was fine. But the problem is he doesn't have the keys to the handcuffs that she's wrapped around the pole with. And Dennis Hopper killed the train conductor, which is actually a famous actor. You have IMDb pulled up still?
I don't. Hold on.
I was actually surprised because I saw him and I was like, I recognize that dude from somewhere. And sure enough, it is a guy that was in a lot of other stuff. And I was like, oh, it's that guy. But he has no speaking lines or anything in this movie.
It's Richard Chip.
Yeah. And I was like, I know that dude. But he has no lines. He just gets blasted by Dennis Hopper, and that's it.
Of course, we all know him from the Lost World Jurassic Park, Eddie Carr.
Yeah, Eddie Carr gets ripped up by the T-Rexes.
Yes, and Man of Steel.
Oh, yeah, he is in Man of Steel.
He was that famous character from the comics, Emil Hamilton, and then they killed him right away because Zack Snyder fucking sucks. Anyway, keep going. I'm so glad that universe is dead. I'm
ready for the restart. I'm ready for the reboot.
We got a few good things out of it, but like honestly, Zack Snyder kind of...
It was a train wreck.
Apart from the first Suicide Squad, he really made the worst movies in that series. And to see the internet pretend to love him, it's so bizarre.
I
And
see.
he put a lot of stress on poor Joss Whedon. How was he supposed to make Justice League better? Like Speed was easy
Justice for
him.
Joss.
Justice for Joss. He had an impossible he really, I'm sorry, get it back to Joss Whedon.
Hashtag Justice for Joss.
Now that we know what Snyder's version looked at, imagine having that job. They're like, you have to make all this make sense and cut it down to 2 hours. Like, oh fuck, I don't know what to do.
And make it funny too. There's nothing funny in this movie.
Anyway, back to Speed.
Because Dennis Hopper killed the conductor of the train. And, I mean, the bullets just went through him into the actual panel of the train, so he can't use any of the controls. The emergency brake doesn't work. I guess for some reason they just have bad luck, man. The freeway wasn't finished that they took him to, and this track that they're on, it comes to like a dead end. The track isn't finished. They're still working on it. So what's going on here in LA? Like the roads aren't finished, the subways aren't finished.
What the hell is going on with the unions in Los Angeles? They got to get back to work, okay?
They need to figure something out.
Were they striking at the time? What happened here?
Were they on a different track? Because what was going to happen to if people got on that train that was leaving? Were they going to crash anyway? What was going to happen to the other people that were on there? They didn't answer that. Yeah. But what is Keanu's solution for this? We gotta go faster, man. We just fucking pushes it.
We gotta speed up.
We gotta speed.
That's the name of the movie.
That's what the movie needed. They just needed an up close, tight shot of his face. Like, what are we gonna do? What do we need? And he's like, speed. And that would have made the movie right there. Speed. And then of course,
need more speed.
I don't know how nobody died during the course of this, because you see all those workers in the subway just doing their thing, and then the train just goes right off the track and up the fucking. There's like a dirt path that goes up, and then it bursts out onto the street level and everything. Yeah. So it's just coincidentally there was a huge ramp there for them to go up off of into the street.
Convenient ramps,
right?
It's like an episode of Dukes of Hazzard. There's just ramps everywhere.
That old Jack, what is his name? That old Jack Traven's having trouble again. He's got to get himself out of trouble again with some speed.
Didn't that guy ever? I don't remember that show. Didn't they have a weird car horn?
Yeah, it was like yeah, exactly. They should just put that over top of the train as it's coming out of the tunnel. And on the bus whenever it's ramping the fucking bridge.
Well, I want you to do that for this. Whenever you play a clip at the I had another funny idea, but it's probably too problematic for YouTube. I was gonna say, and also put the Confederate flag on top of everything. Really fit it in with the Dukes of
across the side of the bus as it's going over Oh
wow,
my God.
I remember Speed being like that.
That's because we're watching the new cuts. All that stuff was removed since '94. That was too problematic. They had to take it out.
The director's true vision. Apparently, Jean DeBont was really into the South for some reason, even though he's not even from here.
He's like, you know what? I just kind of envisioned a Dukes of Hazzard type thing here. That's where they came up with the idea of the bridge jump. It wasn't in the script originally. He's like, you know what? This could use more. This could use more Dukes of Hazzard. You think we can get Sandra Bullock and some Daisy Dukes? He's like, nah, I don't think so, John.
That would have been pretty good. 90 Sandra Bullock and some Daisy Dukes. That would have been good.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But yeah, they crash through the construction and everything, and then you have just kind of a cheesy little romantic type scene. I mean, you have the terrible line delivery from Keanu, where he repeats that line back to her about people meeting under tense circumstances, and it never works out.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what does she say? She's like, well, maybe we should judge it off of sex instead or whatever.
Not sex then.
Yeah. And I was like, Jesus, lady, right? And then they start making out in front of all these complete strangers that are just sitting there watching them.
Yeah. And apparently it doesn't last. I'm sorry to let you know. The relationship doesn't last.
Oh, no. That's why there's no Keanu in Speed 2 Cruise Control?
Yeah, you find out that he bought her she thought she got a birthday gift from him, but it was like a pepper spray thing. So she pepper sprayed herself on accident, and she hated his job, so she broke up with him.
Oh my gosh.
But then she dates another cop who lies to her about being a bike cop on the boardwalk, but actually he works in Jack's unit. He's also in the same unit. So yeah, it's like a whole
She just has a
thing.
thing for cops.
Look, learn more about it when I review Speed 2 Cruise Control. Like
Absolutely.
Captain Boomies. I got a real yacht captain to help me review this movie.
That's awesome. Yes, definitely make sure to go check out your Speed 2 Cruise Control review if you haven't already, but if it's out by the time you're watching this. And what are your final thoughts on Speed, man?
I love Speed. It's really like the 90s were a really great time for action movies. Movies in general, because like everything was getting bigger, all the effects were firing on all cylinders. It didn't become overly reliant on CGI yet. But CGI was there to make things cooler. Like when I think of like the 90s really were, as much as I love 80s action, like the 90s you get Terminator 2, you get Speed, you get just so many other films. Tomorrow Never Dies, which I saw actually both James Bond movies, even GoldenEye. Yeah, and Speed fits up there with the rest of them. It's just a solid suspenseful action film. Even though there's some dumb stuff in it, you kind of let it slide because you buy into the characters, you're engaged. It's thrilling, it's fun. It's got everything you need in Speed.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. It certainly reminds you of like those 80s action movies and everything. I think it was extremely well paced. I think the way they built up, they used the music and everything, and they built up tension through damn near everything. I mean, that opening scene is really tense, getting those people off the elevator, and they even found a way to keep that bus, fresh. They found a way to keep it entertaining and new throughout the course of that whole middle section of the movie. Because you wouldn't think there'd be too much you could do with just being on a bus that's going 50 miles per hour, but they do manage to make it exciting, and the movie's extremely well paced. I believe. I mean, it's 2 hours. It doesn't feel like that at all.
No, it's very fast paced. It's a good time.
Yeah, and I mean, you get great performances as well by pretty much everyone all around. I mean, like, with a couple lines here from Keanu, is the exception, but for a majority, everybody pretty much knocks it out of the park.
That even makes me nostalgic. Awkward Keanu Reeves. You don't get that anymore. He's too good of an actor now.
He barely even has to talk nowadays in his movies, man.
I don't really say a lot in those John Wicks, does he?
He doesn't. I mean, he doesn't have to, I guess. But I normally do a buy it, rent it, or miss it on the show here, Tony. So what would you rank Speed out of a buy it, rent it, or miss it?
Well, seeing as I own it on DVD and VHS, I'm going to say buy it. Definitely buy it.
Yes, I would. I don't own it, but I am going to go out and get it here eventually because I definitely say buy this movie. If you are an action aficionado or like action movies, you need to have Speed in your collection. It is a great, great movie.
Yeah, so you heard what he said. Go out there and get some Speed. He said that.
Go get some Speed. Keanu Reeves said so too. He promoted the movie.
So when you get arrested, you'll be like, "Well, a guy on YouTube told me to get Speed." Okay. Use that in your defense.
I highly recommend Speed.
Use that in your defense, Your Honor. I'm very impressionable, and it's easy to manipulate you. And this guy on the internet told me to buy Speed, and that's why I did it.
It'll work every time. But yeah, make sure if you haven't already, go check out your Speed 2 Cruise Control review. And where can everybody find you here, Tony?
You can find me at Hack the Movies on YouTube, or you can go to hackthemovies.com. I am also wherever you find your podcasts. We do regular episodes every Monday. We also do sometimes later in the week we do live episodes. I think you joined one of our monthly wrap-ups once.
Yeah, thank you for that. It was a great time.
Which I should probably tell you about the next one. I forgot. I don't think I've given the list out to people yet. But yes, we do live episodes. Sometimes I'll put out little, like, just random bonus videos. And I have a Patreon, patreon.com/hackthemovies. Or if you become a YouTube channel member, $2 tier, you get bonus videos and vlogs and behind the scenes stuff. And then, we got commentary tracks at the $5 tier. We should do a commentary track at some point.
Yeah.
Because they're easy to do remotely too now, like over StreamYard. But also we're not too far from each other. We can meet up.
Yeah, exactly, man.
And yeah, then like the $10 tier, you get invited onto the live episodes, and there's other stuff there. But yeah, check out the regular show at first if you don't know who I am. And if you're here because of me, please subscribe to this channel. Now plug your channel.
Thank you. I just want to first off say thank you very much for coming on the channel, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great episode, way better than Crystal's episode. I think it's going to be really great. You know, I love your show, man, and I felt pretty bad. I'm like, oh, well, I could get such a better guest for this. I don't know why you settled for Crystal, but you know.
So you had to hit the DMs, man. Like I'm there.
I had to. I was like, I'm gonna feel this is not a good representation of Hack the Movies. Let me get on there. Let me really turn this ship around. I apologize for any subscribers you lost, or and I hope to God she never sees this because I'm gonna get a ton of shit.
If you haven't already, make sure to go check out our Poltergeist episode featuring Crystal Quinn. But I will have
if you want. I mean, don't make it your first episode.
But yeah, but you finish this episode though. Finish this episode first before you go do anything.
This episode first.
But I will have all of your links and everything here down in the description for anybody that wants to go check you out. You need to go check you out and make sure to like, share, and subscribe over there. And as always, make sure to like, share, and subscribe here at Cinema Trip Reviews. Check us out on, I'm not saying X, I still call it Twitter and Instagram. Wow. I'm not conforming.
Listen. I know it's ironic because we just talked about a movie from 1994. You gotta stop living in the past, man. X is gonna give it to you, all right? We're all living in the X world now, all right?
Listen, if DMX would have bought Twitter and changed it to X, I would be all for it. But he is no longer with us, and he didn't buy Twitter.
Are you one of those guys who one of those people who pretended that they're joining Threads and Blue Sky and then never uses it? Are you one of those?
Yeah, I made it and I never use it. I am. I've done it.
People kept asking me if I'm joining Threads. I'm like,
I still kept it because I still post stuff there every now and then. Just hey, if people want to search.
People ask me if I was joining Threads, and I'm like, guys, I hate Twitter. What makes you think I want to join Twitter run by Facebook? Like that's like the worst thing I could think of.
Speaking of, go follow me on Instagram and Threads and Twitter. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Check us out on all social medias. And like Tony said, anywhere you get your podcast, pretty much available everywhere. Drop in, leave us a good review there. And that is the show for this week. Another special thanks here for Tony. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for joining me.
No problem.
Yep. And we will see everybody next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.